Hello guys and welcome back. 3 weeks ago now I started planting the shower tank, so I had some plants that I had in my holding tank, which was the hairgrass, and the rest of the plants I actually ordered online. So these plants, they arrived half melted, half rotten, weren't in a good condition, but I still decided to plant them anyway in hopes of them pulling through. So eventually the scape ended up turning out okay, but it wasn't looking its best either, and it was still looking really empty, especially the back sections. So what I decided to do is just order some more plants online, this time from a different website. Like literally, like how much bad luck can one person have? I don't know. Can you guys see? It's just like complete mush. So as you can imagine, at this point, I was starting to fume because I was really excited for this plant. So this plant is Nymphoides Taiwan, and it's mostly known as the Taiwan lily. Once grown in, it really does look amazing. These big, lush leaves, and this is what I want to use in the back of my tank. So what I decided to do, again, just like in part one of planting, is just take everything out of the pots, sort out all the dead pieces, and try and plant it. We can see that there are quite a few rotten pieces here where the leaves are yellow, where some of the roots are actually rotten as well. So as always, I'm going to do my best to sort through these pieces and only keep the pieces that are nice and green. Sorting through all the pieces that were rotten, this is what I ended up with, so it's about the equivalent of only one pot. I also forgot to mention that the tank has been running with CO2 for the past 2 weeks. Because the plants were doing so badly, I decided to add this bio CO2 system just to help the plants out because they were really not doing that well. So again, this is just to help out the plant growth. It's not going to be a permanent thing. In about, a few weeks, I will be taking the bio CO2 system off. And I'm sorry if my voice is breaking. I have hay fever and I have a bunch of allergies at the moment, so you're going to have to bear with me. Because I didn't have huge quantities of this plant left after sorting it, I decided to plant 3 portions at the back of each side of the tank. So 6 pieces in total. I also made sure to space them out significantly, just so when they did grow in, they would have enough room to develop correctly. The leaves of these plants do get, to a fair size, so you don't want to be planting them too close to one another. Okay, so I've planted everything. Hopefully it will bounce back. I'm going to keep you guys posted, fingers crossed. Hopefully the CO2 is going to help out a little bit with all this. A week later, the Taiwan lilies weren't doing too bad. So there was a little bit of melting, but again, it can be expected, especially when the plants didn't arrive in the best of conditions. But you can see they're kind of propping up and they're looking for the light. So that's a pretty good sign. The ones on the other side were doing a little bit better. They seemed bigger, they seemed to grow faster, and probably because they were actually quite close to the CO2 diffuser. As for the other plants in the shower tank, they were starting to do well as well. There was quite a lot of new growth. The Hydrocotyle trepidata was starting to push out some new leaves. So everything was growing pretty well at this point. I was seeing progress, and that I was really happy with, because I was really scared some of these plants weren't going to bounce back. So by all means, the hairgrass here is still a little bit yellow, but that's okay. We're going to take care of that a little later in this episode. We can see how much the hairgrass has grown in the last couple of weeks on these images. So it's really pushed out some new growths. There's a lot of runners as well. We can see in the front section in the sand, and also on this side shot, which is pretty cool. We can see how it's really starting to spread. So maintenance wise on the tank in the following weeks, what I did is I just did weekly water changes. So I stuck to about 50% water changes every week, because I was fertilizing quite a fair amount, and you don't want to build fertilizers up too much in your water column, because after a while it can trigger an algae flare up. So you want to be mindful of that. Especially like in this situation, if you did start off with plants that aren't in the best shape, they're not going to be able to outcompete the algae with good growth. So I want to be very careful, and I'm going to help the hairgrass out by adding some trace element root tabs. Okay, so we're slowly getting somewhere with this tank. It's still not there yet. It's probably going to take, if I'm honest, probably another 2 to 3 weeks for the Taiwan lilies to hit the surface of the water. So I'm going to have to be patient on that one. The plants right now, they're okay. They're doing well. And again, they're slowly going to get there. So technically the tank, it's cycled. It's been cycled for a few weeks now, and I still haven't added fish. So why haven't I done that yet? So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's because the plants haven't grown in enough, especially the lilies in the back section. I don't want to add fish if there's not enough cover, right? It's just going to stress them out. They can't hide away from the light. There's a lot of things that, you know, kind of bother me. So until the plants are almost fully grown in, I don't want to add fish, because I don't want to stress them unnecessarily. So hopefully in the next episode, we're going to go to the fish store and get some fish. Also going to be adding some shrimp to the tank. So I want some peaceful nano fish. I haven't 100% decided on what I want to add to the tank. I do have an idea, but I will see what's available at the store. If you guys have any suggestions on the fish for this tank, you can drop it in the comment section. So hopefully in the next episode, the tank is going to be looking great. It's going to be looking grown in. There won't be any more setbacks, and we're going to be able to go to a fish store and pick out some cool fish. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for a new video.